Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to both a great day and a very sad day, honestly. The day we finally get to the final Frieren Friday of the first season. Man, where did that time go? It feels like, honestly, just yesterday I was crying my eyes out to that first episode. It's it's been what, about 6 months, this journey of watching one episode a week. Granted, there was a week where I didn't upload a video because I was very very sick. I was so ill to the point where I just had to take an entire week off. So it hasn't been a straight 6 months. There was that one period in there, but man, this has been such an incredible journey. What a great series Frieren is. Honestly, I have nothing but praise, nothing but great things to say about the series. And I honestly do feel like this is so deserving of all the hype, all the praise, all of the great things people have been saying about this series. I'm just very, very sad and upset that once I finish this episode, that's it until season 2 comes along. But you know what I mean? It's been something that I've always been able to just go to and watch an episode once a week and just have a really, really nice time with. And it was always a great distraction from a lot of the crazy intense stuff that is happening in ReZero. Again, I'm not bashing ReZero. Another amazing, incredible series right there. But the complete polar opposite of what Frieren is, it feels like. So they have been really great at balancing each other out for me in my mental. So now that we're going to be finishing Frieren, what do I do next? What series do I check out next? Honestly, I haven't put too much thought into it because I didn't want to think too far ahead. I've thrown a couple of names around, a few names around for different series, different ideas that I have, but I didn't want to put too much out there too soon. That would lock me into a place that in case I wanted to change things or switch things up or whatever. And, with it being the final episode, I just thought it would be fun to, wear the same thing I wore before. I don't know if I was wearing this t-shirt underneath, but I was wearing this jumper. It is very hot in here, so I'll probably take this off before I actually start the episode. But, the thought was there. I just wanted to, make this almost like a full circle kind of situation type thing. And speaking of full circle, I will try to remember to include a screenshot, but all the way back when I was about to watch Frieren for the first time, I sent a screenshot to, a little group of my friends, some of which you will know if you check out some of the mystery opening reaction streams and stuff like that. There's Pinesino and there's Mish. Both of them are in that group, as well as some other friends. And I posted a picture of the first screen, like the first frame rather, of Frieren. I said at the same time, I'm gonna go make some breakfast, but once I finish that, I'm coming back and I'm starting this series. And Pinesino, while I was making breakfast, was like, whoa, 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 I think you need to check again and see which episode you're on, because that's definitely not the first frame for the first episode. So I got back and I checked again, and yeah, apparently Crunchyroll put me on the final episode of the series. So I have known now for a long time that the first frame of the final episode is that of Zirie. Granted, I knew nothing about the series, knew nothing at all, and I say I knew that for a long time. The truth is, I did kind of forget until the past couple of weeks. I was thinking about getting to the end of the series, and I had this sudden remembrance of this moment where I accidentally almost watched the final episode. I saw the first frame and that was it. I swear I have seen nothing more than that. But I just think it's so funny now that we've got to this point. I know all about Ziria. I know a lot about her, and I think it's so interesting that I could have had that knowledge of this elf all the way back there. Well, not the knowledge of the elf, what she is, what she does and everything, but that there is another elf, because for the longest time I didn't even really know about her. I guess even in the openings it took me a while to realize that was probably her that I saw in the first frame. I'm not always the fastest at catching these things. I sometimes am, but yeah, I just wanted to share that because I know that this first final episode will begin with Zirie, and I'm very excited for that. I hope that we get to see Zirie, Frieren, Fern, I don't know who it is, having this conversation in all honesty, it's probably just a little recap of the final scene from the previous episode that we see here. So if that's the case, that's still nice. I love these little recaps because sometimes we get new camera angles, new framing, and everything like that, and it's always very fun. We got Peanut joining us here for the final episode. You know, he had to be here for it, of course. Enjoying a well-deserved rest after a hard day of sleep, of course. And we're just, at this point, ready to check out the final Frieren Friday. That's so sad to say out loud, honestly. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's coming. I have no idea what we're going to see here in the final episode. We have a few more characters we need to see the outcomes for with this trial. Virbel and Denken being, you know, the main characters. I want to know if they passed or not. Of course, there's also Ubel and Land. Ugh, scary thought there. But yeah, if you guys do enjoy and have been enjoying these videos, please leave a like and subscribe if you've not done so already, and comment down below letting me know your fond memories with this series. I would love to hear everyone just talk about the things they love, what they remember most about the series, whether it be the music, the OST, that's the same thing, the voice acting, the characters, the animation, anything at all. I would just love to hear what you guys have to say about this series. And I'm gonna just start this next final episode right now. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when other videos on this channel go live, when I start a new series or anything like that. And of course, share this with a friend who might enjoy Frieren reaction content. Now that we're finished, you could just share the whole playlist, right? But yeah, I hate saying that we're going to be finished the series. I hate it so much, but much like Steins Gate, we need to march forward and we need to end this. That sounded awful, but it's just really sad finishing up a series on the channel. I've got a lot of attachment. But yeah, here we go. Frieren, episode number 28. Let's go. Like I was saying, I was too hot, so I had to remove the jumper, but yeah, we're going to dive right into this. Oh, I know I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all. Oh, here we go. That you are, Fern. We're getting a little recap. Frieren just sitting outside, knowing what's coming. She knew. Final time we get to see the opening too. I'm gonna enjoy this one. I'm not gonna talk too much. What a great opening. What a great series. No episode title drop immediately. Denken. Yep. The most influential self-made military mage. Okay. Oh shit, look at him. Full of drive and ambition. Now he just wants to go see his dead wife. Ah, come on. That's awful. That's so sad. Until you met Denken? Oh shit, you thought, okay, I'm gonna have to put up a fight for this chance? He doesn't back down. There's still a fire! Let's go! Denken passed. Most people would not even think about that whatsoever. Oh, this is an interesting one. Oh shit! Really? You see a killer and you pass? Interesting. Virbel's gonna be an instant pass too. Land though. It's a clone! What? Really? You never once. Oh shit. What? You got guts, you passed? That's crazy. You can create multiple... Okay, I'm not going to talk too long right now because we're getting other stuff. He's definitely going to pass here, no problem. Nope, that was a judgment made out of knowledge. Okay. It doesn't like or dislike any spells. Alright, Method A. Tell us something. Give us something. Don't say you passed for that alone. Really? For that alone? That's a lot of passes, right? Yep, you can't give Zensei too much shit now. You realize this yourself. Of course you did. There's never a doubt. You don't even need to tell her, she knows. Travel with us! Oh, he's going the other way. I didn't want him to. I really wanted him to come with us. I thought he would feel and he would join us. Which sweet treat would you like? Pretzels or cookies? Okay. Damn, we turned it into like a little tea party. Eat up? Is she gonna be traveling with Danken because he passed? But his training. Thanks, old man. Who is he? I didn't even think about the fact he doesn't know these people. That's so funny. You know what an Imperial Mage is, right? You know more than us. Oh. Aw, did your wife die too young? That's really sad. Oh no, mid-20s? That's so sad. He's lived his whole life. Aww. And still he's been faithful and loyal to her. That's sad. Political disputes, crazy. Oh, that's so sweet. That's what, yeah. Oh, seriously, she inspired you. She inspired you, and now she has reminded you at the end of your life, not to sound grim, how fun it can be. That's such a beautiful thing. And I think that those words might be powerful words for Fern as well, because she doesn't really have a great relationship with magic in recent years, so I think that could be really important for her. Frieren, go and help. Come on, drop the books and help. Virbel. Aw, you're just here to read your grimoires and learn new things. A little. Thoughtful, kind, considerate. We didn't think that of you. No. Literally all he did, he couldn't even kill Ubel. Yep. And that's why you're here, being a first-class mage can... Yeah. Ah. That's... Yeah, fair enough, but that's crazy. I wonder what spell Fern will ask for, if any at all. I'm sure there are, and of course another statue. The Thousand Mirror Tower. Both the Immortal. The Hell Emperor Dragon. These all feel like things we're gonna see eventually. Aww.
そんな話めったにしやがらねえ。やれ村を襲った魔物を退治しただの、やれ商人の護衛をしただの。ひどいもんだと単なる荷物運びまであった。
He was just a good guy. But that's the point.
なのに村のジジババは心底嬉しそうに口を揃えてそんな話を。
You don't need to go and do these crazy big heroic acts to be seen as a hero.
魔族の残党が暴れ始めてからよくわかったよ。
Yeah, that's really sad.
宣教の塔もベーゼも広獄竜も魔王すら俺の村には関係ねえわな。
None of it at all.
みんな日々の生活を守るので手一杯だ。きっと勇者ヒンメルが俺の村に来なかったら世界が平和になってもそこに俺の村はなかった。
Yeah, you would have been wiped out long ago. He held the peace even in his old age right up until he died. The demons were not going to interfere. The influence of Himmel.
フリーレン、出会いは大切にしろよ。根性の別れってのは何も死別だけじゃん。百も承知か。
Beer Bell's gonna make me cry now. What the hell was that? It's the music and just the knowledge of what he means by that, you know, like seeing Frieren say goodbye to all these people throughout the series. It's leaving behind a legacy. Herding cattle. Herding sheep. Yeah, that's what Himmel's all about. What a beautiful soul. And he's the one that helped change it. Sorry, I think I'm also just getting emotional knowing it's the last episode. What? Frieren specifically is not allowed? What? Why? Ziria is just your number one op, that's all this is. Oh, but you did. Look at that cat face returning. It's been a while, we haven't seen it since like Kane Lavine days. Stark's just like, yeah, this isn't my scene. First class mage. And they get to learn any spell they wish. Fewer than 50 exist. Yeah. She is right up there. No. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Learning? A first class mage? Do you want to fight us just cause? Cause Ziria kind of said that? You're sensing something. He's sensing something. Ah. This peaceful era doesn't suit you. That's crazy. That's really awful, honestly, when you think about it. Shit. I don't doubt it, but that's a crazy statement even from Ziria. You wish to know more about her? Is that it? Proof of her existence? Are you a grandchild of a grandchild of a grandchild? What? Oh wait, no, okay, never mind. You're gonna try and kill Frieren? Why? To be remembered? Learning, what? Sorry, I completely misinterpreted what he was saying. Holy shit, why is he going off right now? He cut us. No. Why? For real? What happened to the timid, meek boy that we saw last episode? That's true. You remember Flamme? I did think that while I was editing last episode. I was like, really interesting that there's a field of flowers here. Yep.
くだらない魔法だって言っていなかったっけ?
That she did. She
正
remembers.
直フランメは失
She
敗作
wasn't a failure at all.
あれほどの才を持ちながら私ほどの高みへはたどり
It's
着け
not
ない
about reaching your heights, it's about doing the good that you want in
そ
the
の後も
world.
たくさんの弟子を取ったよ
None as
ど
good
れ
as
も
her.
私の足元にも及ばないままほとんどが先だった
Yeah, that's the thing about
だが
humans.
不思議なものだ気まぐれで取ったはずの弟子なのに一人一人の性格も好きな魔法も鮮明に思い出せる
Did Lernan just conjure a
なぜか私は弟子を
golem just then?
後悔したことは一度もな
You've
いんだ
never regretted it.
たとえ歴史にその名を残せずとも
That's not what's
自分の弟
important.
子にすら素直に気持ちを伝えられないんだ。本当に子供みたいな人だよ。
特権の授与が終わりました。
じゃあ行こうか。
フリーレン様、
Yeah,
その方の怪我どうしたんですか？
本当に不器用な人だ。
why Lernan? I mean, I understand, but why?
シュタルク、今日は何して遊ぶ？
Stark turned into Subaru while the others were off doing their
シュタルク、
trials. That's so cute. Ah, this guy again.
これでオイサーストともお別れだね。
Stop talking about saying goodbye. It's going to get me emotional again.
ところでフェルン、昨日はどんな魔法をもらったの？
Butterflies?
わかりませんか？
服が綺麗になっている。そ
What?
れになんかフローラルな感じがする。
服の汚れをきれいにさっぱり落とす魔法です。これで洗濯
Prestidigitation or whatever? Like D&D spell? That's crazy.
神話の時代に存在したとされる伝説級
A legendary level spell, but she would call it useless. It's a spell that does nothing. That's so funny. Well, it does something, but it's not going to do anything in this series.
セイリエ様はすごく
Is it her
不思議
only
な顔
her
をしていま
clothes?
したけど
She didn't seem happy. I wonder if it's something she can do for just herself or she can do for others, like if others have dirty clothes or something.
フリーレン、
Aww,
ありがとうね。
our old pals.
私たちは不合格だったけれども、3年後また頑張ることにす
We
る。
can't wait to see you up there with the ranks of other first class mages.
楽しかった
You're
よ。
both young.
元気で
It
ね。
has been fun.
じゃあまたね。
Just work together.
またね。
Maybe work on each other together. Like, be in a relationship, goddammit. Like, what are you waiting for? Hold hands or something.
ザイン様の時もそうでしたけど、随分あっさり別れますね。
Frieren doesn't do too well at goodbyes.
ヒンメルってさ、
Oh,
すごく
that's just
あっさり
someone they
人と別
held.
れるよね。
変かな
まあ、らしくないとは思う。
yeah. Himmel
いろいろ
does
と
seem the
はいえ
type
2週
to
間も旅路を共にした仲だ。それに彼とは毎晩のように酒を組み
practically
交わし
every
て、
night.
それはも
Yeah.
う
生臭坊主。
Himmel does seem the type to
でも
drag things out. Not the
な
ending.
ることだってあるだろう涙の別れなんて僕たちには似合わない
Tearful goodbyes. Curse you, Himmel.
また会った時に恥ずかしいからね
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what. I'm so sad for it. I just don't want it to end. Ugh. Ugh. These are like happy tears, but is that Himmel's grave? Is it? No, it's Flame's, right? Field of Flowers.
また会った時に恥ずかしいから。
If you had a long goodbye, yeah.
何ですか？それは。
That's very cute. And we will be back. It would be embarrassing again when we met again. The journey to Ende continues. And that was Frieren, Season 1. Whew, that was a lot. I'm sorry. I did not expect to get so intensely emotional from this. I guess they just really pulled at the heartstrings and pulled at your, like, the emotions. Like, the way this wrapped up was a very great way. Like, it did end a season on a very strong note, like a very great way, where it's, you know, talking about goodbyes and, you know, what's the point in dragging things out. You know, it's very much on the nose about, like, we'll see you guys again in season 2. Like, that's how it feels, but it's also very relevant to all the characters that we've met across the series so far. I do think that it was a great way to end this, but I don't know, man. I'm just so sad that we're finished. I just need more Frieren. Alright, I took a little time to compose myself a bit because that really flooded my just emotions. Like, I can't quite explain it. Just, there's always something about goodbyes that just will always get me. And then there's the way they, like, the ironic thing is that they were talking about how they don't stretch out goodbyes here, but it's the fact that that scene was kind of stretched out, where they're talking about it, they're explaining it, and we learn why they don't stretch these things out. The fact that it was kind of like a point of relevancy here within this right at the end, while the incredible, amazing ending song was playing over the background. Of course, everywhere, everything, everywhere. I can't remember. Anytime, anywhere. Forgive me. By Millet, of course. What a beautiful, beautiful song. What an incredible way to end out this series. It has been a great ending from episode 1 until now. I will say the second half version of the song, I do think hits a more emotional core, because it does really ramp up with intensity. And I do think the version of the ending we got in the second half of the series, for me personally, I do think was a better ending, I guess you could say, especially considering what we are used to happening and the things that we were seeing accompanying that ending. But, you know, as a whole, the fact that parts, like the first half and the second half of the series, had the same song split into first half and second half. What a great ending, and it just goes to show the strength and the power of that ending, that it was able to do that. And of course, the opening as well that we saw at the beginning. What a beautiful opening. I've said it before in one of these videos, I do prefer the second opening over the first. That's just a personal choice. I did love the first opening. I did feel though that in some aspect it felt a little out of place at times, but I don't think it was a bad ending. I don't think it was unfitting. I just think that for Frieren, the second ending encapsulates everything I know and love about that series so much more. So I've got a much deeper love for that opening. But when it comes to the ending is impeccable. And the fact that it was playing over that final scene killed me. I was not ready to say goodbye. When these endings and stuff start playing like this at times, it can honestly like wreck me. And yeah, I guess I just should have known that they would try to pull this stunt, and I should have been prepared for it. But I did honestly think that this episode would probably end on such a note where we would be making our way, leaving and setting up for the next season. I did not think that it would be focused on saying goodbyes to these characters that we've been with for 10 plus episodes at this point, but I should have known better. I should have realized that that would probably be the case, because yeah, these characters have been so important and so relevant and so incredible to get to know. So by the time we have to say goodbye, it's gonna sting, and we need to focus on the fact that Frieren does not say long goodbyes. She says very quick goodbyes. Like it makes sense that we need to call on that, we need to mention that, we need to talk about that. Why don't we take this one back to the beginning though? Why don't we take this back to the very first scene that we see in this? And that of course is a repeat of what we saw at the end of the previous episode with, as someone pointed out, I didn't even like realize it. I kind of did while I was editing. I was like, oh, I think it's very ironic that Fern was so unwilling to speak to Richter about being Frieren's pupil, but I never in my head made that connection to the fact then that she so proudly says she is Frieren's pupil to Ziria. So someone in the comments did say that in the previous episode, and I'm grateful because that is actually very, very poignant, I would say. The fact that it shows how she really feels. She can be in a little bratty mood. And our Fern, of course, we love our Fern, but she can be a little brat sometimes. Of course, then right here, or right then, we saw her step up and say she is Frieren's pupil and nothing's going to change that, essentially. So yeah, we get to see that little repeat, and as that's happening, we see Frieren sitting outside just waiting for Fern, and she knows Fern is going to pass. She has known this whole time. She knew that Ziria would not feel someone as great as Fern. No matter what, she recognizes potential and she goes with her gut instinct every time, and she would never fail her. We get to experience that wonderful, incredible opening once again by Yorishika. What a great opening this is. Like, Yorishika right now is one of my favorites. I've said this before, one of my favorites to hear openings from, and I love every time I get to check out a new Yorishika opening or ending. Of course, she has done endings as well, of course, Looking at You, Orb, and I am just so glad that we got to witness this one in its natural habitat, if that makes sense, because I know I did check out the Frieren openings a while back for 2 different videos. You know, I checked out opening 1 in one video, opening 2 in another, and I love the openings there and then for the series, but getting to experience them both alongside the series itself really just adds so much more. I can't quite explain it, and it's so rewarding being able to understand all the little references within the opening. But there is one shot, I probably won't be able to find it within this opening, that I don't quite understand, and it's a shot where it looks like 2 small Frierens staring off into the distance. It's the only shot that kind of confused me, but I'll maybe think that that's related to the replica or something, but even then, I don't know. It's Denken's time to step through and be judged for this trial, and Denken, of course, needs to pass this in order to visit his dead wife's grave. Mid-20s he was when she died, and I think it's a beautiful thing to learn that he has been faithful, he has been true, and he has been honest to his dead wife. He never moved on past her, but at the same time, it's very sad to think that he was never able to move on. Like, there's just something about it that just fills me with so much sadness. I say that knowing, you know, there's no way I could ever think of moving on, you know, or anything like that. You know, I'm married myself, so I'm not drawing comparisons or anything, but I kind of feel like I understand how he feels. But at the same time, like, man, he's been alive, let's say he's in his 70s. I don't know if he's 70s or 80s or what he is, but 30 to 40 years of longing for his dead wife is just so tragic and so sad. We get a very interesting scene where Ziria says that she doesn't think she'll pass him because he's old and he doesn't have that drive, he doesn't have that ambition anymore, and she wishes she could have met him when he was young and full of all that drive and ambition. But then she quickly asks him if he thought about taking her on and challenging her when he stepped in here, and he shares that yes, he did. He quickly discounted those thoughts, but he did think about taking her on. And the fact that he felt that way shows that he still has that fire, he still has that drive, and he still has that wanting to achieve his goals no matter what the cost. And she recognizes that, and for that alone she passes him, because that shows, as she says, he still has that fire within him. With Ubel, one look is all it takes, and she says she passes. I don't know what she saw in Ubel when she looked at her in this exact moment, and Ubel herself is like, we haven't even spoken, like, what do you mean I pass? And that's really all we get, because Ziria says, do we need to? And Ubel says, guess not, and that's it. That's all we get from Ubel. Obviously, Ziria has been following these trials along, and she knows everything that's been happening. She knows a lot about these people, and so she knows about Ubel. And so when it comes to having that fire, Ubel, of course, has that. She will do whatever it takes. She will fight. She will win. And yeah, she knows which fights she can win and which she can't. But it's also kind of interesting because I didn't think she would pass her so quickly. I thought Ubel would be one she'd have to sit down and talk with a bit, because she needs to understand if she will just go around killing anyone she pleases. Like, that's kind of a loose cannon almost, it feels like, that she set out there as a first class mage. I know that Ubel, I need to put some trust in her, but I feel worried knowing that Ubel is a first class mage. She could do some terrible shit. Lan shows up and is almost immediately basically told, hey, you fail because you didn't even take part in the trials. And yeah, that's bullshit. Everyone else took part, you didn't, so you fail. And he turns around, he's like, well, my flesh and blood body is here too. See, I'm right over here. And Ziria is like, that's not your flesh and blood body. That's another replica. You're probably sipping tea in your hometown right now. And then we get a literal zoom in towards his hometown where he is, and he's sipping tea. So she read him like a book. She knew everything. And I think it's so funny and so crazy that he did not once take part in any of these trials. Anytime we saw him, it was a clone. We have not even seen the real Land until this scene right here where it shows him sipping tea. But she simply says, well, you've got guts for doing all that. You pass. And that's interesting to me because I did not expect that. I did not expect someone with guts to pass. Like, I thought there would be more to this. It's just hard to read Ziria as a character. She's so interesting. Anything that surprises her, entertains her, or she thinks is cool almost gets a pass. I know that makes no sense, but yeah, she's very interesting with her decision making here. But one thing that surprised me is that Land can conjure up multiple clones at once. It's not that there's a clone and there's a real version. He can have two clones out there at once and still be sitting back sipping tea, because Ubel thought this was the real Land. And maybe that's why Ubel has not been able to learn his clone spells, because she has not been able to spend time with Land, just a clone. So yeah, plenty of head scratching content right there. Virbel shows up next. Easy pass. He is someone who does a lot. But she recalls that, or she basically says to him, you looked at me and you realized you couldn't win. You couldn't beat me. He basically explains, well, yes, I've taken part in so many battles that, as he said in one of the previous episodes, he always finds a way to win. He has a way that he can always win. And he even says here, he is an idiot who takes on a lot of fights that he can't win. And if he is even able to be a second class mage, he would have had to be that kind of idiot. And yeah, he's first class mage now because he can make those snap judgments, he can make those snap realizations. But Ziria does ask, hey, what's your favorite spell? And he says, well, spells are for killing for the most part, magic's for killing, and I don't really like that, so I don't really have a favorite spell. And that's so not what I would have expected for a reason to pass. I could have expected that from Virbel for sure, but the fact that Ziria smiles and says you pass for that response really surprised me. I thought that would have been an instant fail for that. All Methode has to say is, you're so cute and small, and she gets a pass. I mean, I know there's more to it than that. It's Ziria constantly like reading these people and looking into them and understanding them, knowing what they're like, knowing what they can do and everything, but that's all we saw for Methode really, and that surprised me. And then Ziria herself has to apologize to Zensei for having such a great crop of examinees this year that she didn't believe Zensei essentially when Zensei passed a lot of people. She's like, yep, I even just passed a lot of people, so I owe you an apology basically. We then cut to the beautiful scene of Fern telling Frieren that she passed, and of course Frieren did not doubt it for a second, and all she gives Fern are little head pats. It's so cute seeing her have to be on her tippy toes to reach up to Fern's head, but she still gives her well-deserved head pats. And that's when Denkin shows up and says, I only passed because of you two. I would not have passed otherwise, so I have you both to thank a lot. And yeah, he basically shares then that he will be leaving to go visit that grave that he mentioned a few episodes back, a handful of episodes back, all the way back when it was just, I think it was Ere and I can't remember the name of the Richter, right? I think it was just those two that he shared this information with, so this is news to them. And Frieren's like, good, I'm glad, and that's kind of it. They walk away from each other, and then we cut to the snack break. This time we kind of have a really poignant, beautiful moment here. Well, I think first of all, the hilarious thing is that Stark doesn't know who this is, because Stark has been so uninvolved in all this, so I think that's so funny. And something really interesting as well is a lot of these mages that I'm just thinking, I'm gonna say it now because I'll probably forget by the end of the episode, episode, a lot of these mages that are heading north, that are going past the checkpoint, they don't have frontliners with them when they're leaving, at least not that I know of. So I hope they'll be okay. But of course, Stark, the frontliner here, he's like, who's this guy? What's his deal? And he learns it's an Imperial mage, and he suddenly is like, oh my god, you're royalty, basically. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so funny. And of course, Stark always finding himself in, you know, these situations with royalty. We saw that back a handful of episodes ago, a chunk of episodes ago at this point, where he was basically asked to pretend to be someone that he wasn't from a royal family. And yeah, Denkin has no family. He has no children. He has no grandchildren. And so he's spending this money on these treats. He's spending this money on other people just doing what they want and stuff. That's then when he shares with us that his wife died when he was in his mid-20s, which is so sad. That is awful. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that pain and suffering. Live your whole life without your partner. And then the most heartbreaking thing is that Denkin even shares here, he's like, my wife, she was always sickly, and the only way I could think to save her was from either having wealth and or influence. And he had neither of those things at this point. He was not known whatsoever. And then it was shortly after her death that Zarius set up the association. And with that association, he could have had both of those things. And the ironic thing is that nowadays, he is an Imperial mage. He commands whole nations when he wishes, and he has so much power, so much wealth, and everything he needs now that he could have had back, that could have helped save his wife rather back then. But what good is it now? It's almost like he went and got all this stuff almost to prove a point or something. Like, I'm not sure if there's a reason specifically for why he went out and got this wealth and power, like why he sought it out, but it almost feels like he was doing it to prove a point or to prove something to himself. And it's just made even sadder by the fact that these things could have saved his wife but couldn't because he didn't have them. And then we get a really strong, poignant moment where Denkin says, I've only been using magic for political reasons. That's the only reason I've been using magic as of late. For most of his life, I imagine, at this point. And then he shares that he only got into magic because of the tales of Himmel the hero. That's what interested him. That's what made him want to do magic in the first place. And so he thanks Frieren for reminding him of the love of magic again, the fun in it, the joy that he can find in magic. And he relearned that because of Frieren. And I think that that's a really important thing here, because Fern is someone who's fallen out of love of magic, and she needs that reminder. She needs that fun again. And we see her in moments having fun, but it's just sad that she doesn't feel the ways she once felt when she was a child regarding magic and everything. And I feel like the metamorphosis of Denkin's character, where he has relearned to love magic for the fun and joy in it, I feel like that's something we're going to see Fern go through at some point. We see Frieren carrying a bunch of grimoires. Of course she's going to learn something before she moves on. And she witnesses this old lady dropping a whole basket of oranges, and Frieren just stands there and watches, doesn't even think about, well, apparently she did think about helping, but she doesn't even act or anything. She doesn't help. And Virbel shows up and helps the lady, and then goes over to Frieren and is like, hey, that seemed unlike what someone from the Party of Heroes would have done. And Frieren's like, well, I thought about helping, but I didn't. And yeah, it's very surprising, because I would have expected Frieren actually to set the books down and help. I thought that that's kind of the trajectory we were on right now with her character, where she was, like, I know she's still learning and she's still doing all these things to show her character growth, but I thought we were at the point where she would act on these things by herself. And yeah, Virbel himself, he says that he's not the kind of character who would just go around killing for no reason. He only wished to intimidate Fern's party, because Frieren is very, you know, aren't you the guy that Fern said would kick a dog if he saw it? And Virbel's like, that's funny that she said that, but that's not me. I only intimidated her party, her group, and I honestly think that the world would be a better place without Ubel, but even then he couldn't do it. He could not kill Ubel for no reason. It almost seems like he needs to be given orders, or he needs a literal reason to take that life. Virbel is here to learn that one spell that he wishes to learn that will make him more powerful so that he can protect his hometown, because that's all that matters to him. And he shares about his childhood when he would idolize and he loved Himmel the hero, and that's what got him into magic as well. It's very similar to Denkin, I guess, in that sense, although Denkin, it doesn't go into as much detail with his past history with idolizing Himmel the hero. But Virbel here, he really idolized Himmel so much that anytime he asked his village elders or anything about Himmel, they only told Virbel stories about when he would do all these small jobs. And yeah, anytime Virbel read about stories of Himmel in these storybooks, it was stories about the thousand glass or thousand mirror tower or something like that. All these demons and beasts and monsters and all these great things that Himmel did, the heroic acts of, taking down large foes and stuff like that. But the people remember the heroic acts of Himmel just being helpful and showing up and just helping around. That's what they remember. That's what they are happy remembering. But then after Himmel died, of course, the demons show up. They have been in hiding until this moment when Himmel would die. And it just goes to show the strength and influence of Himmel, even at his old age, where these demons waited for him to die because they were still scared of him. They ransacked his hometown, his village, and that's kind of what set him on the path that he's on today. And so yeah, Virbel says the stories of his not so exciting adventure are what brought Virbel here to where he is today. And it's thanks to all those moments that the village, the hometown that Virbel talks about so fondly, survived as long as it did. So it's really beautiful moment here with Virbel acknowledging all that Himmel did for him. And Virbel once again saying something so poignant where he says, "Hey Frieren, be sure to treasure the encounters that you have, because not only death is the only goodbye in this life. You can say goodbye, you can treasure the moments of saying goodbye, and you should treasure the moments of saying hello and having those moments with people, because yeah, death is not the only goodbye." And it makes you think of someone like Zine, who we say goodbye to, who we might not see again. We probably will. And we do see him later in this episode, just resting on a beach or whatever. But you know what I mean, where our characters might not see him again. I believe that they will, but they might not. Like there's this question of what if we never meet again? What if? And so, yeah, Virbel's right. We need to treasure the connections that we have in the moments, because we might not have them forever. And yeah, Himmel, we get a little flashback where Himmel's like, I'm not just going to walk past people in need of help and do nothing. He will always do whatever it takes, whatever is needed to help people, because that's who Himmel is. Even if it means helping to herd a bunch of sheep, right? Fern shares that she will be getting her privileges tonight, and she is allowed to bring guests, so she invites Stark and Frieren. But of course, Frieren is banned from anything Magic Association related. She is not allowed to enter any facilities whatsoever, and I wonder if that's going to be a problem in the future. And in this case, she is not allowed to go and witness Fern's privileges, so she has to just sit outside. And Stark's kind of in the boat of like, well, this isn't really my scene, so I'll go keep Frieren company. And I thought Fern would maybe be a little upset by that. I thought she would at least want Stark there, but she seems happy enough to go do this herself. And so Frieren, the child in Zirie's eyes, calls Zirie a child for the first time this episode, and that is a continuing thing throughout this episode. For the rest of it anyway. Frieren acknowledges that Fern will probably reach greater heights in fame and being well known than Frieren ever did. And Stark acknowledges it too, but I wonder how she's going to do that, because Frieren was part of the party that defeated the Demon King, unless she means in this day and age. So people are forgetting Frieren at this point, and so Fern will rise above that, what little fame Frieren still has left. I wonder if that's what she meant, because I don't see Fern reaching peaks as high as defeating the Demon King, because that was a huge world-altering thing that changed things for a lot of people that a lot of people know about. So then Lernin shows up, and Lernin is very ominous. He's like, I'm sorry for the trouble Ziria caused you. And then they just stare at each other, and Frieren learns that he can detect the fluctuations in his mana. So she knows he's a very powerful mage, and she even shares, hey, you would have been great back then when there was a lot of fighting. And he even says himself, yeah, all I know is fighting. I don't really know this peaceful era. I don't know what to do. So there's just this kind of like stare down then where like nothing's really happening. And I completely misread this line, and I acknowledged it during the episode. I read that the only one like what he says is the only one of Zirie's apprentices that people remember is her first Flame. And for some reason, I like then the next line saying, once I grow old and die, yet another proof of her existence will disappear. I thought he was talking about Flame still, which is stupid of me, because when you read them both back to back, it's very clear that that's not the case. But yeah, he kind of shares that he won't be remembered, and that's something he doesn't like. He wants to be remembered, and Zirie's only apprentice that will be remembered is still Flame. He will not be remembered learning, and he is getting old. And so after hearing from Zirie last episode that he could beat Frieren in a fight, and he probably knows it himself, he decides, hey, I'm going to be the one to kill Frieren, the mage from the party of heroes that defeated the Demon King. That's how I will go down in history, and that way Zirie will not be alone. Or Flame will not be alone. Like when he says, I don't want her to be alone in the future, I'm guessing he means Zirie, but it could also, you know, you could read this as he doesn't want Flame to be the only one alone remembered. But I think he's talking about Zirie here. He has a lot of respect and love for Zirie, and he doesn't want her to be alone when everyone else is dead and gone. So we get some batshit insane action once again with magic, and this old man Lernen is trying to kill Frieren, and Frieren's just like, hey, I don't see a point in this, I'm not going to fight you. And she's got a big chip on her shoulder, she's been hit by his magic, and Frieren's like, this would be a waste of time if I win. And so she shares, Zirie will remember you. And we know this now because we see a flashback to the scene where Frieren was failed during the test, and Frieren turns around and says, hey, this is a field full of flowers that you've created. I thought you hated that spell. And that's when Zirie herself says she remembers all these things about her past apprentices, all these people that she trained and everything, her pupils, her students. She remembers their favorite spells. She remembers a lot about them, but they never reached her heights. They disappointed her. She wants a student that will reach the same heights as her. And that might never happen. But that's just proof that Zirie will indeed remember these people even when they die. And yeah, she even shares she's never once regretted any of the pupils, the students that she has taken on. And I think that's a great thing. And so Frieren and Stark walk off. They leave Lernen behind. Lernen just kind of is left standing there like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what just happened kind of thing. Like, it's very interesting. And he acknowledges that he and Zirie are both very awkward. And Fern shows up, is like, hey, how'd you get that cut? Also, I passed. I got my privileges. Yay! So she's now a first class mage. Officially. We see Stark say goodbye to all these people that he's befriended while he was there in the village. It very much reminded me of Subaru when he goes to the little village and has all these kids and everything and all these adults that just love him. It reminded me a lot of that, and I think it was very funny in that sense. And Fern shares that the spell she took on was the spell to clean clothes. That's so funny to me. She could have had anything and this is what she took. I think from a practical sense, it's very funny. It makes a lot of sense for this series, and also it means that Fern doesn't immediately suddenly have this ridiculous spell. It's something very simple and innocent and very Fern, but also very Frieren influence-esque on Fern, and she ends up being able to clean clothes without having to actually clean them, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. And one of the funniest things about this is Frieren being like, well done Fern, that's my student, giving her head pats like. And yeah, of course Zirie was not happy about that being her spell. Lavine and Kane show up to thank Frieren for everything, and it's very sweet little thank you, and again there's no lingering whatsoever. It's a thank you for everything, and we'll try again in 3 years. Take care. That's it. They say goodbye. I was hoping that they would hold hands or something, you know, that we would see, but that never happened. And yeah, that's when we get the question of why do you always do quick goodbyes? And Frieren recalls asking the same question to Himmel, and Himmel shares that's not really our thing. We don't really do these long goodbyes. It doesn't suit us. We travel with these people for a while, we make friends with them, and then, you know, we just say goodbye, because wouldn't it be kind of embarrassing when we meet them again, you know, in the future, when we run into them? This isn't a goodbye forever. This is just a goodbye. Like, it'll be nice to see you again kind of thing. And like, yeah, his comment about, you know, tearful goodbyes aren't our style, that hit me hard, because I was a mess at this point. I was already tearing up. And then he says, wouldn't it be embarrassing when we met again? And it's a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful ideology, I guess, or way to think about these things, where, like, you know, you might not know you'll see someone again, but you gotta have that hope. You gotta think that you're gonna see them again. Like, there's nothing really stopping you if you put in that effort to see that person again. And then after saying, wouldn't it be embarrassing when we met each other again, that's when it starts showing, you know, still frames of shots from Frieren. The first shot is like this field. I wonder if this is the field where Frieren and Himmel, you know, they met. Maybe not where they met the very first time when he was a child, but when he was there recruiting Frieren. I wonder. And then we see the town with the graveyard, I think, where Himmel was buried. So very, very sad to see this. And then we get to see another graveyard right after. I don't know if it's the same one or a different one. I can't really tell. I think it's different though. And if this is a different grave, I wonder if this is the one that Hyder is buried at, perhaps. Because then we get to see Eisen, who's still alive. So it's showing like each of them in an order. It starts with Frieren, who's no longer where she was at the beginning of the series, where they met and everything. And then it shows Himmel, who is laid at rest. It shows Hyder, who's laid at rest. And then it shows Eisen. So those are the first four I think that this was alluding to. After that, then we see this big tree, which must be the tree that Flamme grew the tree and everything from. An episode a while back, I can't quite remember the purpose of the tree or anything. I don't know if this is where Flamme is buried. I don't think it is, but yeah, we get to see all these things related to these characters, and we get to see what they're all up to now. And I think it's really sweet and cute and beautiful, and means a lot that we get to see them all going their own way, especially after we got that scene telling us about, you know, goodbyes, not forever. We will see these people again, basically. It's almost like a promise. And then we get to see all these characters like Kraft. He's just walking by, doing his thing. It almost looks like he's in Aushurst, because, you know, all these kids here, it reminds me of the scene that we saw with Stark not long before it. And then of course we get to see Zine right after it shows Kraft. So it's just ironic, and he's looking out after a girl here, of course, you know, typical Zine. And then we get to see a grave, and this grave is in a field full of flowers. So this is what makes me think that this is Flamme's grave, though this could maybe one of the graves that we saw earlier maybe could have been related to Danken. Maybe this is Danken's wife's grave or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know exactly. I apologize if it should be obvious to me, but, you know, please let me know down below, unless it's spoilers. If it's spoilers, don't let me know. And yeah, that's when Frieren then repeats the words that Himmel once said, it would be embarrassing when we met again. And I feel myself getting emotional. I'm trying to hold it together, but yeah, it's a beautiful way to end this season. It's a beautiful way to wrap this one up. And yeah, I don't know what more I can say about Frieren. Everything about the series is perfect. The music, the OST, the voice acting, every single character was cast so incredibly well. The animation, the look of the show, the fantasy feel, everything just felt so perfect. I don't know what it is about this that makes this feel so... It makes me feel like almost this childhood wonder and like awe and sense of excitement that I haven't felt in a very long time watching a series. And this has really ticked all those boxes for me, and I'm so glad I was able to check this out. I'm so glad I was able to watch it with you guys on this channel. The animation was incredible. The team at Madhouse are absolutely cracked. They are insane. And I cannot wait to see what they do next in season 2. I cannot wait to be there with you guys weekly. You know, doing a weekly episode yet again. I'm hoping that it's going to be Fridays once more. I think that going forward, the world needs more Freerens. We need more series like this that are just so full of all these incredible, beautiful things. Like the stories, the lessons learned in this series are so beautiful, so heartbreaking, so like emotionally driven that it's hard to think of a series that has so many great lessons in recent years. Like I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but I really do think that this is one of the most important series I have watched in anime in a very long time, if that makes sense. It really has done a lot for me. It's brought so much happiness and joy. It's brought so much amazing memories. It's brought so many amazing memories for me, and it's been such a highlight for my week. Even going back to, I think it was episode 7, where, you know, I hope it was episode 7 anyway, the episode with the demon child. That was an episode that when I uploaded it, got some real negative feedback, and that kind of really hurt me at the time. It's not something I've talked about, and I don't mean to like just talk about it too much here now, but it's something that really hurt me at the time. And honestly, it was conversations with Pincino and Mish that kind of, you know, helped me realize, like, hey, you put yourself out there, you were real, you were honest, and you didn't like try to dance around anything. You were sharing your honest thoughts, and that's exactly what I wanted to do there. That's exactly what I wanted to do with this entire series, and with everything that I do. I want to put the real me out there, and this series, Frieren, has really just like, in a way, kind of helped with that, because despite all that, there were other people that were coming out and were like very positive with everything. Like, so many of you guys have been so positive and so amazing in the comments, and I really have appreciated every single one of you. And I know that I'm really bad recently at replying to comments. Back when I started doing this reaction content, I would reply to every single comment, and I swear to you, I feel so bad not replying to every single comment anymore. But it's got to the point where I get so overwhelmed with the comments at times that I can only like go in there every so often and reply. I read just about everything. I won't say 100% of everything, because I'm sure there have been some that have slipped through the cracks, but I try to read at least everything. So trust me, everything you guys are saying, I see it. But yeah, I do need to get better again at replying to comments. I just feel so bad that I get to a point where I feel so overwhelmed that I don't know how to reply. It's something I need to work on. I know that for sure, because I would love to be more active with you guys again in the comments. And yeah, like I was saying, going back to episode 7, that was a really rough period for me for Freer. And for the next episode or two after that, I was very scared to put those videos out, even though, you know, I was feeling, you know, like happy that I put the real me out there and I didn't dance around anything. I was trying to be as honest in my thoughts as I could. But yeah, after a couple episodes putting those out, I was back to the point where I was absolutely on top of the world, loving the series again. So yeah, I think that this series has been a really important one for me and for the channel as well, because it has definitely been one that's taken me on this crazy journey, a journey of love, a journey of moving on, if that makes sense. I hate to say it like in such a nonchalant way, but I'm very fortunate that I haven't had too much loss in my life in terms of, you know, family members or anything like that. I have had people that I did care for sadly pass away, and it, like last year as well, like, not to make this a whole thing about me, I or anything like that, I really don't want it to be the case, but I recently in the past couple of years have moved to the USA. I don't know if that's something I've talked about before. I moved here, I'm living with my wife, and within a small, like maybe 6 months of me moving out here, while a lot of paperwork was still going on, and I had to stay here in America. I couldn't leave. If I had left, I would never have been allowed to return, probably. So I was stuck here in America. My grandmother passed, and it was something that really hit me so hard, because I was close with her and I didn't get to say goodbye to her, you know. So I think this series, I'm getting emotional even just talking about it, and I don't mean to, but this series has really kind of helped with that, because it's not something I have ever really moved on from. I feel like I still feel those feelings because I was so far away and I wasn't able to grieve properly. I kind of had to do it from a distance. My wife was amazing through all this, by the way, so I'm not trying to say that I was by myself. She was exactly what I needed. She was a rock for me and she really helped me out. But this series, in how it has dealt with loss, and especially like this last episode, it's something I was thinking about, you know, with goodbyes and everything. I think it's so beautiful, it's so pure, and it's such an amazing, well done story and has some great messages in there. And yeah, if I was to give this series a score, I will be giving this series a score on my anime list. This is a perfect 10 for me. Like, I cannot give this anything less than a 10. This has done a lot for me personally that I have not talked about behind the scenes. I'm kind of touching on it now. It's something that I didn't really think I would talk about. It's something that, like, you know, I like to keep my personal life personal and private. I'm not looking for any, you know, pity or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just sharing how much the series means to me. It has helped me through a lot that I didn't realize I needed, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm sure I could sit here and talk about this series all day. I think for me, I need to stop right here because I've shared my love for the series. I've shared my love for you guys while watching this series and your response and everything. And I don't want to, you know, keep going on and on and on. I think that this is a good place to wrap this up. I would love to talk more about the series as a whole, and if you guys do want to hear more about that, ask about it in the comments. I promise you I will respond in the comments of this episode. That is my promise to you guys. I will be replying. I will be answering your questions and I will be doing all that I can. But that's going to do it for me for today. That's going to do it for me for Frieren, the finale of the first season. What a crazy, fun, amazing, beautiful ride that this has been. I am excited to get back into the more adventure side of things in the next season. We're gonna have some run-ins with characters from this season. We're gonna be introduced to some more ideas and everything. Like, I don't really know what's coming, but I'm excited. And yeah, that's gonna do it for me for today. I don't want to wrap this one up. I'm very hesitant. I keep pausing. But if you guys have enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Comment down below, asking questions, letting me know your feelings and experiences with this series, and anything you wish to share with me. I would love to read about it. I would love to hear it, and I would love to be a part of that conversation with you guys. And yeah, share this video with a friend, share the playlist with a friend if you think they would enjoy this Frieren reaction content, and of course, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when anything I post ever goes live. And yeah, I'm not going to make this a long goodbye because wouldn't that be embarrassing, right? Because we're going to see each other again very soon. But yeah, I hope that you guys are having a great day today and that you're able to take it easy. I will see you in the next one. Take care.